Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Whether you're tuning in on the radio dial, we welcome you all back to our program. Those tuning in online, we're glad you all could join us again. And our iHeartRadio family, we're glad that you all could be with us as well. I'm really excited to welcome back to our program today my friend, Omegia Keeys. She's not only an author, she's an actress, she's a producer, a writer, and she's been very busy over the past decade since I've gotten to know her. This year is no different. She's gearing up for the premiere of her new docu-series called From Jim to Jamescrow. It's going to be coming Sunday, February the 25th in Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to tell you all the details about that, as well as what it was like for Omegia to kind of go throughout this journey. When she first started, she thought it was going to be a feature film. It turned into something quite different. Now it's a series. We're going to talk to her about that decision, the people she's been able to meet, and what she hopes you're able to glean from the series as well. Omegia, hello to you, and welcome back to the program.
Hi, Cyrus. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, always a pleasure. As I said, I know you're getting anxious about the big premiere coming up Sunday, February the 25th. I'm going to be in town, finally back in Atlanta, excited about that. We're going to be giving out the information for our audience. So, Omegia, how does this feel? I mean, at the time that we're having this conversation today, you're literally just about 14 days away from the premiere. How does it feel to have it this close?
It is overwhelming. I'm a bit nervous because for me, with my style of writing, this whole project is so different from me. It's always been a part of me, but it's so different for me, to put it out there like I am. Like normally I just generally have little secretive conversations with people, because race is a big thing. So It's very, you just never know how people are going to respond. So I'm truly, truly nervous.
Got you. So take us into this, Omegia. I mean, From Jim to Jamescrow. A lot of people are probably familiar with, hopefully, about Jim Crow and what that represented. How did this project come to you?
Well, it came to me because, with Kaepernick basically taking a knee, there's always these conversations about it. But I mean, somebody that I actually knew was going on a rant to me because, from me being in the military and stuff, some people are more comfortable, unfortunately, with saying things to me than they would any other person. Sometimes people get comfortable with you. And they were basically, this person wasn't in the military, but they were going on a rant on how disrespectful Kaepernick was being for taking a knee, how disrespectful it was for the military, and he should stand this and that. And I'm like, I'm the veteran here. I'm not offended by this. If anything, this is what we stood up for. This is what this country is based off of, taking a stand. I mean, the Boston Tea Party, so for them to be upset, at someone actually doing what is patriotic and that's taking a knee, it just really blew my mind. And so it's just, with the person that we have in office right now, these conversations are happening, more and more. But I'm I want to have these conversations without, arguing with people. Of course you're going to have the trolls on social media that just no matter what you say or do, but just open up the dialogue to have these conversations. And, some people that I never thought would, change from being the way they are, they've been opening up their eyes a lot more.
Well, I think this is an interesting thing, and I should say for our audience, Omegia had a chance, and we had a chance to talk about this face-to-face. In fact, you all are going to be able to see some clips of that. They're online now. We'll be reminding you of that, how you can be able to watch parts of that conversation. And part of what got me, Omegia, when you and I talked about this when you were in Mississippi was that there is, everyone has strong feelings, I think, about everything. I think that's just a part of the way the world is. We all are going to have our beliefs and everything. As a storyteller through film, though, how difficult was it for you to check your emotions when you were talking to individuals? Because one of the things that you share with me is that you actually talk to someone who identifies as a racist. So, how were you able to kind of check your emotions, check your feelings when having these type of conversations?
It is extremely tough, but when I went into these interviews, I went in more so as as a reporter type mode, and and I had my set questions that I would stick to and keep the conversation going on there. Even when because I had one specific person that was proud that her family owned slaves, and that whenever she answered the question, she would kind of smile and give me a smirk, waiting for a reaction. She was trying to gaslight me, but I just stayed focused on getting what I needed about the interview and not letting her, not giving her that satisfaction by reacting to it the way it is. And when I realized that I wasn't giving her that reaction, it kind of irritated her more than it bothered me.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But once I got it in the car, I let it all out.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's so difficult. I've had conversations on this program, and sometimes I wonder, at the end of them, how do people reason the way that they reason? That's just a thought I have, again, off air versus, kind of trying to debate it with them on air. But is it part of what you hope, though, Omegia, will happen from this docu-series now, is that people will have those type of tough conversations? As you said, you have people who kind of change the way that they were viewing things. Is that what you hope might happen, that at least people, even if they don't change, they can learn to better respect other people's views and opinions and lives?
Yes. That's what I hope for. And for the people that won't change, basically there's no sugarcoating, what you are, because there are some people that are teeter-tottering on the verge, and they're like, well, I never called anyone the N-word or anything like that. Yeah, but have you ever stopped someone from saying, or have you ever stood up to someone who did say it to someone else? No, they just sat back and watched. Well, you're complicit too. So,
yeah.
And then to get people to recognize the microaggressions as well. It's not always in your face, N-word this or, stuff like that. It's other things that happen. And so to get people to understand, those as well, like, when it comes to policing, black hair, where a white woman can wear her hair in cornrows and there's no problem. And then you can have a black woman, she wear her hair in cornrows, and the school is like, you can't wear your hair like that.
Yeah.
So it's just, a bunch of different things that factor into it. And it's just so deeply embedded into the foundation of this country. And it's just, we're here, we're not going anywhere. So it's time we interwove our paths.
Well, we're going to talk more about that, especially the history that you share in this film. Omegia, I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome back to the program today my friend Omegia Keeys. Omegia is gearing up for a very big day, the premiere of her docu-series From Jim to James Crow. If you're in the Atlanta area or feel like making the trip like I'm going to be doing from Mississippi, we definitely invite you. It's going to be on Sunday, February the 25th. We'll remind you of all the details of that event coming up. I want to say, and I want to thank you, Omegia, for allowing me to be a part of this by actually narrating this project. I wanted to talk to you, though, about another element of the film, because as I was narrating it, as I was reading it, there's a lot of history in there that I didn't know. I want to talk to you about history. Is that just one of the things that you've always been attracted to? Because it took a lot of research. It's very obvious in the way that you put this together. A lot of research to be able to give the backstory of the individuals that you're interviewing. So has history always been kind of one of those things you're drawn to?
Yes, because of my mother. My mother, she's a self-taught historian. She's a reader. She always has known the history. So, like, my mother has this big thing, she's a quilt maker. And as she was sitting there, making her quilts, and we would help her make the quilts, we would always learn history that way through her. And, like, whatever we were taught in school, it's like we were homeschooled at the same time, but, with Black history. And it wasn't just her telling us these stories. She would make us look up the stuff, read it, and, and go find it and come back with proof. So it wasn't just her word. It's like, okay, she said it, and now we see it in books as well. So I've always been intrigued by it, and I've always been intrigued by the fact of, like, how it's not taught in schools. I remember when I was in junior high school, they finally had allowed a Black Studies class, and it was a teacher. I'll never forget him, Mr. DeLucio. He was teaching the Black Studies class, and I was getting frustrated because he was just being so general with the subjects he was touching on, the same subjects everybody touches on all the time. Okay, Martin Luther King Civil Rights March, but there's so much more out there. And he got mad at me one day. He was like, well, if you know so much, you get up here and teach the class. Okay. I got up there and I started teaching the class. Well, then, of course, he got upset because I actually knew what I was talking about. And so he sent me to the office. But still, it's always, been there with me because it is a part of me. And, Black history did not start with slavery. So We've always been here. We've always been doing things. So, it's just to open up and talk about it, not just one freaking year, 1 month out of the year, or whenever, somebody fires off a crazy tweet and then everybody wants to go crazy.
Right. Speaking of that, and I'm glad you said that, because it does kind of interest me sometimes that it does seem to be selective outrage that happens sometimes. There are a lot of situations that happen, I know, that we don't hear about, that don't make the news. It may not be something that ends up trending on social media. Do you feel as though the awareness, that kind of having that history, love of history with your mother, Omegia, kind of made you aware that Black history is so much larger than February, that it is something that is a daily discovery?
Yes, because for me, whatever I learned in school about the white settlers, I've always looked for what happened. Okay, well, what were Black people doing at this time? And, like, okay, yes, you tell us slaves were on plantations, but they were only in certain states. So what were the rest of the Black people that were spread across the U.S. doing? Things like that.
And for you, did it make you, I'm an optimistic individual, as you know. I tend to look at things from, either a glass half full type of situation, or that, hey, it's just a matter of, hey, at least there's progress that's being made. What has frustrated you the most as you were kind of researching what is now the series From Jim to James Crow? What has frustrated you the most about history that people don't know?
What frustrated me the most is that people don't realize that some of the exact same things that are happening today, some of the same exact verbiage that, number 45 is using today, is the exact same verbiage that was used, before Jim Crow. And one thing that really infuriated me, and this is for me, this was huge. With the Holocaust, their basic foundation was off of Jim Crow itself, because they were trying to figure out how to deal with the problem of the Jews on the trains. So they decided to look at Jim Crow, and they took it right out of our playbook. Everybody wants to say, oh, this person is acting like a Nazi or whatever. No, they're acting like an American, because that's where the Nazis got it from.
Are you, I did, when I was reading the docu-series, what people will be seeing on Sunday, February the 25th, Omegia, I did come across at the end, it seemed more sobering than optimistic. When you were finishing what is kind of the premiere of this, did you leave it in any way optimistic? Did you feel optimistic at the end?
Because we're in the midst of it, I feel like we're in another renaissance. We're in the midst of a movement right now. So it wasn't that I left it sombering. I left it that the outcome is unknown right now, because we're in the midst of it. So I left it for exactly like how we are in the state that we are right now. We haven't gotten to that other part, so I cannot write what we have yet to get to. Right.
Do you think we'll get there?
Well, like one person that I interviewed said, without hope, all is lost. So I'm always going to have that hope there. But am I going to be naively optimistic and think it's going to happen overnight or even within the next 10 years? No.
Got you. So let's talk about then the making of this. As I said, when this first began, you went in through it with one thing. You even shared with me, the people will see the clip of, that, you realized you could not do this service, you told me, if you just left it as a feature film. How did that, because of course that means more work for you. That means more of these conversations that you'll be having. What was that decision like to know that this was bigger than anything than you could do in one project?
It was very humbling. Actually, it was humbling because, number one, I had the audacity to think that I could cover racism in America in a freaking feature film. So that was like humbling and a wake-up call for me. Like, you know, I kind of let society get to me to thinking that it's not as big as what it is, even though I experience it every day. So that's, you know, the huge thing is, like, I can't just gloss over, even though, you know, the pilot for this, the title is actually Jim Meet James. It's just the introduction to everything, and then the other episodes would be, you know, the specific topics broken down. And with each thing that I do, I always take it back to the beginning, you know, the founding moments of America, and then bring it forward and show how it relates. So the fact that I just, you know, the audacity of myself to think that I could do that in a feature film, it's just a humbling moment.
We have to talk about responses already. Like I said, the premiere is just a couple of weeks away, but people are already talking about this. How does that feel to be opening up this conversation, knowing, again, as you mentioned earlier, Omega, that not everyone's going to feel the same way about it? How does it feel for you now to have announced this premiere and to see people responding to it?
Well, it's kind of sometimes at first it was frustrating, but now I kind of laugh at it, because what happens now since I started the project, people tag me in every post to do with racism. If somebody makes a racist comment on, you know, on one of my friends' lists, or they come across the article and they see it, I get tagged in everything, or I get inboxed with it. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, you guys are overwhelming me. Like, I can't look at hate all the time. But now I'm used to it and I'm ready. And it actually, by doing the interviews with people, it actually gave me this barrier that I could have. Like, it became like my shield. I'm more open to talk with people without arguing with them, but just straight stating the facts now. Like, these are the facts, take it or leave it. So right. It actually made me more of a debater.
Gotcha. Well, as I mentioned, you came to Mississippi. I had the honor of being interviewed by you for your project from Jim the James Crow. Also, a good friend of mine, a fellow author, Darlene Collier, got a chance to be interviewed for this as well. You know, that was the only interview I got a chance to watch you actually conduct, and it was so powerful to see the reaction from her. I can imagine what that was like for you, amplified, Omega, speaking to these people who had endured a lot. Ms. Collier shared things with you that I didn't know that brought her literally to tears while she was sharing it with you on camera. And I know you've had other conversations. I mean, how does that feel to know that not only are you giving them a voice, but also that you are sharing a perspective that a lot of people, including myself, cannot always appreciate until we see something like this?
It's very overwhelming because I'm getting things out of people like, I have my questions, but it's only to lead and guide people into, you know, these certain areas. So sometimes you never know what you're going to get. And so some of the responses, like I've learned, one person in particular that I interviewed is actually someone that is related to me. And I was doing a bunch of interviews, and they were actually, you know, lingering, you know, around. And I'm like, you know, hey, what's up? They're like, you know, I'm ready for my interview. I'm like, you're what? Because it's my brother. And, you know, and if you know the type of person that he was, you know, he's a jokester. He likes to play around, you know, and everything. So I was like, what do you mean your interview? He was like, no, you know, you can go ahead and interview. Mom told me what it's about. So we can do this interview. Like, even talking to him, now mind you, that's my brother, but, you know, he's 8 years older than me, but watching him grow up, he always seemed like this hard, stout figure that nothing ever gets him down or things like that. So the things that which they're in the pilot, so I don't want to go into detail with everything that he said, but some of the things that he shared, I had to actually cut filming because I broke down. And that was like the one time that I like could not mask, you know, my feelings or anything like. And when I say I broke down, it was like boo-hoo, because not is he just my brother, but it's like he was speaking for all black men that basically that they're told, you know, once they get out of the jail, like, you know, you should be able to do this, you should be able to do that, you know, and even the ones, you know, that don't go to jail and they do everything right. It's just, everything is just so stacked against them. You know, they're stacked against women too, but I'm just talking about the men in this moment because it was that interview. And, you know, as he was talking, he was speaking for hundreds of thousands of black men. And so all of that just, like, came flooding out at the same time. And it hit me. The energy right there was just way too much. And then so when I realized that, like, you know, because I'm going back and forth on really should I be doing this project at all, that let me know right there that, yes, this is what I need to be doing.
For sure. And to have that gift, because that's kind of how I look at what you've been able to do, Omegia. It's a gift to be able, for one thing, to have an idea, then to be able to travel to these places, you know, and to be able to keep all that together, to document some of that. You've been able to use social media for that. We're going to talk more about that. And then to be able to put it together. I mean, do you feel as though, I mean, kind of everything about you in the creative aspect kind of comes together in projects like this?
Do I feel like it all comes together?
Right.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like because all the hats, it's like I wear so many hats, and it just flows so well. I go from, you know, one thing to the next, or even at this, you know, simultaneously without even missing a beat. Because like even when I was doing your interview, like I was sitting down, you know, I was being the writer, director, and producer at the exact same time, and making sure that the camera, even though, you know, I had a cameraman, I still was making sure that the cameras were being lined up and correct and everything, and the sound at the exact same time.
Right.
So but I don't know any other way. It's so hard to explain. It comes out, but it's my natural way of functioning, if that makes any sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, for sure. And that leads us to then the example, because you are and it's not lost on me as we're having this conversation and what's recognized as Black History Month, Omegia, that you are paving your own way. You are creating your own history. How does that feel to know that you're not only able to chronicle history, but to be a part of your own?
I was taught a lesson at a very young age that I was meant to do bigger things. And I will take it back to when I was getting ready to go and run the state meet back up in 1991. I was 15 years old, and like I qualified for state, and it was like the change in the community behind that, because no one had ever one state, not in track and field. Both prior to me, there was a swimmer in like 1968 or something like that had won, but of course, you know, they were white. So I had a lot of weight on my shoulders. So that experience, basically, I learned then that I am a leader. Not that I chose to be one, but I just fell into that role. So I figured that if I'm here to lead, I'm going to be the best darn leader that I can be, and pave the way and show people that they can do it. But also at the same time, let them know that this isn't easy. I battle with fear of the gifts that I have every single day. I freak myself out knowing that I could even do some of the things I could do. I'd be like, how? Why me? How am I able to do these things? But then I go back to, okay, well then how am I not able to do them too? Why can't I have it? So it's a battle, but you know, I feel like, you know, I'm meant to be here to serve some sort of purpose. Otherwise, why have these gifts and why have these talents? So yes, I am trying to make a new path for people to look at and see, like, well, if she can do it, then so can we. So, yes, I am trying to lay that history right then and there. If you tell me no, that means that you'll say yes later. I'm going to keep on trying.
Right. And you're, again, showing by example, and you're trying even as an example for other people. How does that feel for you, Omegia, to know that, forget about your work inspiring people, How does it feel to know that you are inspiring people, that by your doing what you're doing, by your sharing it with us on social media, by your pushing ahead, how does it feel to know that you're inspiring other people to say, you know what, if Omegia can do this, there's no reason why I can't do whatever it is my goal, dream, or passion is?
It's overwhelming, to say the least, because I'm still always shocked that people even respond and say, you know, thank you for opening up, or thank you for the post that I made, or, you know, stuff like that. Like, you're showing me the way. It feels like, oh my goodness, like it feels like you got a spotlight on you, but yeah. It's a you know, for me it's a good spotlight, because, you know, I'm glad I did what I did back in 2011 and then 2012, and that was write those 2 books on my life. I figured I got all the dirt out on myself, so now nobody can come back and ever say anything with the things that I do now, because I told it all. So
right.
I feel like I have, you know, I feel like I opened up my own gates and can forge my own path, while yet and still taking that hand and reaching back and pulling others forward. Because I feel like it has to be some form of leaders to get people to rally behind. Now, no means am I a Malcolm X or a Martin Luther King. By no means that. But I just feel like, you know, if I can show one person or 2, then I'm satisfied with that.
Well, I think you're definitely accomplishing that. Again, everyone, Omegia Keeys is our guest for this segment. We're talking with her not only about how the different hats that she wears have all come together as an author, as a writer, as a producer, director, and being able to share not only some great information, but also start some great conversations. She's continuing that this year with the premiere of her docu-series, From Jim to James Crow. The big premiere is coming up on Sunday, February the 25th. One of the ways you've been promoting this, Omegia, has been through social media. So how has social media kind of helped you in this regard to be able to not only to get the word out, but also to let people know as the series is going on?
It's social media. I mean, social media is a game changer, because the word of mouth is very, very huge, and you're reaching so many people at a faster rate than the old traditional ways of marketing, or waiting for somebody to sit in front of a TV to look at a commercial, because people are always on some form of social media. So it has been tremendous, huge, you know, between me, you, and my PR representative, Kelly. You know, it's hitting places and people that are contacting me that, like, I had no idea that I was even on their radar for them to even reach out. So social media is just amazing. So, you know, when you use it in the right way.
Right, exactly. And that's one thing we say all the time, when used in the right way. So hope you all are making plans. We're about to tell you all how you can stay connected with Omegia through social media. But again, make plans to attend the premiere in the Atlanta area on Sunday, February the 25th. It's going to be taking place at the Hudson Grill Midtown, that's located at 942 Peachtree Street, Northwest in Atlanta, Georgia. For all the information, you can go to the Eventbrite page. I set up a tiny URL for you guys to make it easy for you all to find it. So if you just go to www.tinyurl.com/From Jim to James Crow, it'll take you directly to the Eventbrite page. Also, for those who are joining us online and through our Heart family, we're going to put the link in our notes here to make it easy for you guys to be able to find that as well. But again, it's taking place on Sunday, February the 25th, beginning at 3:30. So make sure you all do make plans to attend. The doors will open at 3:30. The viewing will start at 4:30. But all of this information is on the Eventbrite page. The prices are perfect, and you're going to get some extras along with it. So this is an event you definitely don't want to miss. Again, on Sunday, February the 25th, at the Hudson Grill Midtown. Make plans to attend, to be able to come out. And Omegia, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you as well?
You can follow my page, About Face Media, on Facebook, or you can look me up, Mimi Omegia Keeys on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. It's AFM Media 1922, and join in on the conversation.
All right, so make sure you all are joining the conversation with Omegia. Omegia, congratulations to you. Looking forward to seeing you on Sunday, February the 25th, and looking forward to our next conversation together.
All right, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late and missed part of the conversation with Omega, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media site. So head over to Facebook.com/Cyrus Webb or go to Twitter.com/Cyrus Webb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. You all make it a great one.